In this update, we're going to be tracking 3 storm systems that's going to be moving across the country over the course of the next 7 days. And each one of those gets a little bit further south. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. I'm here on a daily basis putting out content to keep you well ahead of the storm. If you'd like to follow along throughout the 2024 year, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and you're in. You can follow all my daily content. So let's talk about this. Let's really delve into it. It is getting busy, folks. This is the hazard map. This is the current hazard map for the lower 48. And this are blizzard warnings up here. The Seattle National Weather Service issued its first blizzard warnings for the Cascades since 2012. Yes, they could be looking at feet of snow up here with very high winds as a dynamic storm system will be moving inland, dumping very heavy snow, rain along the coast. Then further south, you've got hard freezes down there in the Phoenix, the Tucson area. And then as this system traverses across, we got newly updated winter storm warnings into the Santa Fe region. And that red area, that is blizzard warnings highlighted across the Texas Panhandle into Kansas. And that extends into winter storm warnings in the Des Moines region, heading up into Illinois, up towards Milwaukee. And all the heavier snows will be trending that way. But further south, all the heavy rain and very high winds as well. And then they're going to be monitoring severe storms later on today and then heading into tomorrow up the East Coast. So it's very busy, folks. So let's talk about later on today, because we're all's going to be culprit of this bowling ball trough that's going to be diving in the middle of the country. And you can see by later on tonight, it does go negatively tilted. And that's when things can get on the bumpy side for severe storms. As the winds are going to be rotating at different heights, we are going to be concerned about tornadoes further south into the deep south regions, some larger hail and definitely some higher winds. And then to the north, it's just all snow with those blizzard-like conditions. So here is an upgrade. This is the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. They did in fact upgraded this to an enhanced risk. And in fact, this morning they did include the Houston Metroplex, because the latest update does include some possibility of tornadoes, even some strong tornadoes within the Houston Metroplex into East Texas. But all those areas highlighted across the I-10, I-20 corridor back into Lake Charles, into New Orleans, into the Mobile region, heading up all the way into Jackson. Those are the favorite areas as we head into tonight, especially for tornadoes, if not some strong tornadoes. Here is their tornado outlook. They've got a widespread, what is often referred to as a hatched risk. That is a 10% probability of a significant tornado within this corridor, possibly of an EF2 type variety tornado. So this is a higher probability of seeing a tornadic spin up tornado within this warm sector, because we are going to be having a lot of shearing, and that causes the winds to rotate at different heights. And yes, later on tonight, there's going to be a nocturnal threat, meaning it's going to be an overnight type setup. So definitely deeply concerned about this region. If you're from into the Houston Metroplex, all the way down in the deep south, especially into the Florida Panhandle, definitely be on high alert later on today into the evening time frame. And all that shifts over to the southeast for tomorrow. We've got back-to-back enhanced risk for severe storms that does pull all the way for the entire state of Florida, including the Gainesville region, Tallahassee, back up into Pensacola. Now that then extends up the coast into the Savannah region, into Augusta, back into Columbia, and even into Charlotte, and even really heading up all the way into Raleigh. Those are the more favored areas of seeing, unfortunately, some tornadic spin-outs, because they also have another hatched risk. So you have back-to-back high impact days for severe storms on the warmer side of this dynamic system that will be moving across the country. So by the time we head into that Tuesday timeframe, those areas into Pensacola, back into Gainesville, into Tallahassee, and all the way up here to Columbia, and even including the Raleigh towards the coast here, those are the favorite areas of seeing a tornado, if not almost a strong tornado. We saw one the other day in the Fort Lauderdale region. Unfortunately, you are under the gun again, so you could be seeing a spin up tornado that was classified as an EF0 down there in that region. So this is the concern too, because this is the latest update on the helicity tracks. This kind of gives you one of the favorite areas of where you could see the updrafts and the possible time areas that could be rotating. Yes, this is why they've highlighted the Houston Metroplex heading into East Texas, because of these helicity tracks really starting to amplify. But notice how they really start to build as you get towards New Orleans region, but especially towards the Mobile region, into the Florida Panhandle, heading into southern portions of Alabama here, heading into Georgia, going into that central, Florida region, and then heading up into Georgia, into the Carolinas, heading all the way up into Raleigh. This is why these areas are under that 10% hatched risk for a tornadic spin up, if not almost a strong tornado. So definitely be on high alert over the next 36 hours within this sector, because you are in the favored area of seeing some pretty nasty storms. But to the north of there, it's all going to be snow, folks. We've got those blizzard warnings in effect, and you're going to get the high winds as well, but it's also going to be snowing at the same time. So some of these right around that low pressure center into the Panhandle, yes, those winds could be cranking 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts are definitely not out of the question, as that snow is pounding down at, with 1 to possibly 2 inch per hour snowfall rates on the northwest side of this low pressure, as it traverses coming out of the Texas Panhandle into Kansas, and then swinging up towards Nebraska, then eventually heading up into Iowa. But it's not until tonight that it does include the northern Illinois region, where they are expecting 7 to 12 inches of snow from this particular system. But there's the heavier rains further south, and by that time frame, we're going to be on high alert for those tornadic spin up tornadoes. But to the north, it's just going to be all snow. It just cranks in over the night, and by the time you wake up on Tuesday morning, it's going to be highlighted over portions of, Indiana by then, getting into Michigan as well as Wisconsin, back into Iowa here, into southern portions of Minnesota. Then you got the backside snow, the kind of the wraparound type snow, which is lighter amounts, but still adding to those totals. And that low pressure center will continue to traverse and lift a little bit further northeast. So there's all that backside snow as this will start to approach into the Ohio region. So obviously, if you're getting the backside snow into Ohio, you're not getting the front full frontal. You're not going to get much snow out of this deal. It's mainly going to be highlighted over Indiana and especially northern Illinois, heading up into Wisconsin, into Michigan, as the heavier rains will be a concern with widespread flooding across this region, because this area could likely see 2 to 4 inches of heavy rain as this especially comes up into the New York City region. Some of these areas are under a slight, if not moderate, risk for excessive rainfall. Now you compound all the snow that just unfolded into the Northeast. Some of these places had 12 to 18 inches of snow, folks. All that is going to be on top of the rain. So you got the snow melt, and then all the rain associated with this second system Tuesday heading into Wednesday timeframe. That's going to cause significant river flooding up there and widespread major flooding. So definitely be on high alert with this nasty type setup that's moving your way. Then there's all the winds, folks. It is busy. We're in the heart of winter, and this is El Nino, and it's on full throttle. So you got the low pressure. It's going to come across the Texas Panhandle. Look where the graph is, folks. That's 50, 60 mile per hour, and all those areas in red. Yes, you could be seeing some of those 50, 60, upwards to maybe 70 mile per hour wind gusts at times. So even those areas in yellow, even in the green areas, still 40 plus. So you've got, look at 40 plus mile per hour winds. That's about 80% of the country, folks, is going to be seeing some of those higher wind gusts over just this is just over the course of the next 2 days as that dynamic system moves across. Here is the latest update from the National Weather Service. This is the official update from the National Weather Service. The snowfall totals. Yes, look at the graph. This is in inches, folks. Those areas in pink are going to be highlighted 7 to 12 inches of snow. Those areas in blue, anywhere from 2 to 4, possibly 6 inches of snow. So it lays down a pretty good snow swath as this system will be traversing across. Now, that's just the first storm. That's just the first storm. That carries you through Wednesday. So by the time we hit Thursday, now we've got Arctic air going to be pulling into the mix. So that system that we've been highlighting as far as Arctic cold is going to be starting to impact places like into Alberta. Look how dangerously cold it gets, folks. 52 below zero. That is air temperature. This isn't even feels like. That is some nasty, dangerous stuff heading into Alberta, into Saskatchewan, and then, yes, into Thursday afternoon. Those are temperatures dropping to 28 below zero in Montana as the negative numbers will start to impact the Dakotas. And then you get the leading edge of a cold front sinking further south. You're into the teens in Kansas, you're into the 20s in Oklahoma, and you start dropping into the 30s into the afternoon, into the Dallas-Fort Worth area as that first initial surge of Arctic air will be going southbound. And at the same time, we have another system that will be moving in. So we've got 3 systems. This is the second one. Now this system's, notice how a little bit further south. It's a little bit further south, just south of the Four Corners region. And as this system moves across, it has the lift again. Yes, we're talking more snow into the Texas Panhandle, but notice where the low pressure is now. Now it's south of the Tulsa region. So to the north of there, you're still going to get the snow again into the Kansas region, into Nebraska, back into Missouri. But since this one's a little bit further south, now traversing across the Kentucky region, it is going to be dragging the snow a little bit further south. So I do feel some of the areas in Oklahoma are going to be getting the snow. And that goes into northern portions of Arkansas, but especially into Missouri. The entire state of Missouri should get inundated with heavy snow from this second storm. And then that will also impact Iowa, back into Wisconsin, and back into Michigan again. And then also deepen. Look, 974. So we've got back-to-back systems that could be blizzard-like conditions traversing with heavy snow. And don't let your guard down even with that setup. That could bring more severe storms on the southern flank of that and more heavy rain for the East Coast as this system will be, pulling in. And then we got a second surge of Arctic air by Sunday, folks. It is really busy. Now you're mixing the true Arctic air into the mix for a good part of the country as those negative numbers come out of Canada now drop into the lower 48. So you got teens, negative teens up here in the Colorado. You've got those negative teens up into Nebraska, dropping the negative numbers into Kansas, dropping the single-digit numbers in Oklahoma, and dropping the teens into parts of Texas as that second leading edge of true Arctic air starts to pull through. And this is the surge that's going to go all the way down to Mexico and then it'll eventually slingshot eastward. Now we're talking yet another system. This is the third system that will be coming across. This is on Sunday. Notice where the Arctic air is, right? We've got a system coming out west. All these areas are going to be freezing by then as this system will be starting to take shape out west. And as it pulls through, we're going to have a lift again. And notice where the low is, well further to the south. That puts the rain further south. That puts the transitional. Remember, this is Arctic air. Arctic air is deep and it's shallow and it sinks. Very dense. That means you typically have warm air aloft. As cold air, as rain falls, it's going to snow. It's going to melt into that warm air aloft. And then it could freeze on contact in some of these places within North Texas and then snow to the north of there. So notice all of Oklahoma with this could get all snow by then. We're talking, this is a week away. This would be Monday timeframe as that third system will be coming across. but this is a favored time frame when you typically get, you know, winter weather further south. This is not until the middle of the month, right? January 15th. This is about a week away, but this scenario has to be, you know, looked at as taking shape, as the Arctic air will deeply be in place by then, and then you would typically get all snow on the backside. So as this low pressure center will be moving across, if you do get the ice within the Dallas-Fort Worth region, it'll be transferring all over to snow on the backside, and then that low will be traversing much further south. Look at the low now. Then Florida, right? Now we're getting a little bit ways away. That's 8 days away. So the confidence, you know, goes down as we get further out. But I'm just showing you the progressiveness of these systems as they traverse across. And typically, if you're going to get winter weather for the South and parts of the Southeast, this is the time of year, that middle of January timeframe, that you're definitely a lot more likely to see winter weather, as this scenario would pull the winter weather and have some icy setups for the Southeast, and then snow for Tennessee into Kentucky, as that snow could be bleeding back into the Carolinas by then. So it wouldn't be just all rain with that third system. Now you're going to be cold enough where that Arctic air gets into the mix, where some of that precipitation will be in the form of wintry precipitation, even in the Carolinas, by that time frame. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update while I protect you before and after storm.